only in Kentucky could one county be known as the covered bridge capital and send a farm kid to help raise the flag on Iwo Jima. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, first one of the year, 2026, I'm talking about Fleming County. If you haven't already, I hope you check out the other counties I've covered. They're all listed in the playlist on my profile. If I haven't covered your county yet, I'll get to it soon, I promise. I'm going in mostly alphabetical order, doing what I can. I am slowing down because I just want to make sure I actually do my research properly, and it takes a long time to edit, so thanks for your patience as I do slow down and do this more intentionally. If I skipped one, it probably means I'm saving it for the end because it's so massive and it'll need multiple parts, kind of like, honestly, Fayette and Jefferson. As always, if I've missed something, feel free to correct me in the comments so we can all learn about Kentucky together. Fleming County was officially formed in 1798. It was carved out of Mason County and became the 26th county created in Kentucky. The county seat is Flemingsburg. Both the county and the town were named for Colonel John Fleming, an early settler and Revolutionary War officer. In 1776, Colonel John Fleming and his half-brother, Major George Stockton, traveled down the Ohio River by canoe. They were among the first white explorers to move through this particular part of northeastern Kentucky. Local legend goes Stockton had been taken captive as an infant by Native Americans in New York and spent most of his childhood living among them. When he eventually returned to Virginia, he struggled to adjust to settled life and chose instead to head west into the Kentucky wilderness. In 1787, Stockton established Stockton Station just north of where Flemingsburg sits today. It was a fortified settlement meant to protect families from raids during a period when this region was still very dangerous. Colonel Fleming first settled at Strode Station near present-day Carlisle. A few years later, he moved west and built Fleming Station near Fleming Creek, about 5 miles from where Flemingsburg would later be laid out. A third station soon followed. Michael Cassidy, an Irish immigrant who had come to America during the Revolutionary War and enlisted at just 12 years old, built Cassidy Station, which is about 2.5 miles west of Stockton Station. So together, these three stations formed the backbone of early settlement in what would become Fleming County. In 1791, a group of Native Americans raided Clark County, stealing 2 children and several horses. Colonel Fleming and a small party pursued them toward the Ohio River. The pursuit ended near a creek that would later be known as Battle Run. The settlers were badly outnumbered, a fight broke out, and Fleming was seriously wounded by a tomahawk. He survived the encounter but never fully recovered. Colonel John Fleming died in 1794 at his station 4 years before the county that bears his name officially came into existence. Major Stockton survived longer and played a central role in shaping the county. In 1796, he laid out a town near the stations and named it Flemingsburg in honor of his half-brother. 2 years later, when Fleming County was officially formed, Flemingsburg was chosen as the county seat. By 1800, Flemingsburg had a population of about 124 people. Brick churches began appearing early. Methodist and Presbyterian congregations both built churches in 1799. The town's first store and first hotel opened in 1804, and Flemingsburg was incorporated as a city officially in 1812. Now, another important early settler was William Kennan. He arrived in Fleming County in 1792 at the age of 19 and settled along Fleming Creek. He raised castor beans and produced castor oil at his mill. He would then later serve as a representative in Kentucky's first General Assembly in 1799, and also eventually became a Baptist minister. Kennan's reputation, at least in local storytelling, went far beyond politics and preaching. Historians describe him as unusually fast and strong. One frequently repeated story claims he once escaped an Indian pursuer by leaping over a 10-foot-high pile of brush. Another says he carried wounded settlers to safety during frontier attacks, including a young George Madison, who would later become governor of Kentucky. Michael Cassidy also became a central figure in early county lore. He was elected in the county's first state senator in 1806 and later served in the state legislature. But his reputation rests mostly on stories from the frontier in the early days, such as one story claiming that Cassidy was briefly captured by Native Americans who planned to kill him, only for him to overpower 3 captors and escape. Another story recounts a tragic accident where Cassidy, responding to what he believed was an Indian signal, shot and killed a fellow settler who had been dressed in Indian clothing while hunting. By the early 1800s, Fleming County had moved beyond survival mode. Farms expanded, roads improved, and Flemingsburg grew into a small but stable town. But the county was not spared tragedy, of course. In 1833, a cholera epidemic swept through Flemingsburg and killed 65 residents. Another outbreak in 1855 claimed another 65 lives. Fires were also common. In 1905, a major fire destroyed 7 buildings in the business district. Now we're in the Civil War era, which brought its own instability. Fleming did not host major battles, but experienced raids, skirmishes, and divided loyalties. In 1862 and 1863, Confederate raiders passed through the county, including men connected to John Hunt Morgan's cavalry. In September of 1863, Confederate guerrillas raided Flemingsburg itself, robbing the local bank and looting the town before escaping. After the war, new industries began to shape the county. In 1865, an oil well was drilled in Flemingsburg to a depth of nearly 1,000 feet. Instead of oil, the drill struck natural gas. Oil was later found nearby, and that discovery helped stimulate the local economy. Of course, railroads soon followed. A narrow-gauge railroad began serving Flemingsburg in the late 1870s. In May 1907, a trail derailment sent cars plunging 38 feet, though, killing 3 people and injuring 17. A new standard gauge railroad opened in 1908 and continued operating until 1956. Interestingly, the old depot still stands today as Flemingsburg's city hall. Fleming County's most famous native was born far from any battlefield or rail line, however. This is amazing. Franklin Sousley was born near Hilltop in Fleming County in 1925. He grew up on a farm, attended Fleming County High School, and enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II. I think his name was Sousley. I think I may have just butchered his name pronunciation. Forgive me. On February 23rd, 1945, Sousley was one of 6 Marines photographed raising the American flag on Mount Suribachi during the Battle of Iwo Jima. The image became one of the most iconic photographs in American history. Sousley was killed in action less than a month later, on March 21st, 1945. Today, he is honored throughout Fleming County, including at local memorials and historical markers. The county has produced other notable figures as well. Jazz pianist Herman Chittison was born in Flemingsburg in 1908 and later performed internationally, including with Louis Armstrong. Journalist John F. Day, born in Fleming County in 1913, went on to win multiple Emmy Awards. Fleming County is often associated with covered bridges, and that reputation is rooted in real infrastructure. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, covered bridges were a practical solution for crossing creeks and rivers in a rural county with limited resources. The wooden coverings helped protect the bridge structures from weather and flooding, extending their lifespan in an era before steel and concrete were common locally. Several of these bridges were built across Fleming Creek and its tributaries, serving farmers, wagons, and later automobiles even, moving between small communities. That legacy is preserved today as the Fleming County Covered Bridge Museum, located in downtown Flemingsburg. The museum houses salvaged timbers, historical photographs, engineering diagrams, and artifacts from bridges that no longer exist, along with documentation of those still standing. It seems like it's less about romanticizing the past and more about showing how basic infrastructure shaped daily life in a rural Kentucky county. The museum also reflects how seriously the community takes this part of its identity. Covered bridges treated as working pieces of history that helped hold the county together. So, that's Fleming County. What did I get wrong this time?